You've got $487 in your account on Wednesday. By Friday, you're at $34. And the weirdest part? You can't even remember where it went. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain is operating in a completely different mode than someone with money saved, and that mode is designed to keep you broke. A 2024 study found that experiencing financial scarcity literally cost you 13 IQ points. That's the difference between making smart long-term decisions and making desperate short-term ones. And it's not about intelligence. It's about your brain being hijacked by a survival mechanism that destroys your financial future. But here's what nobody talks about. There's a specific dollar amount where this completely reverses. It's not $1 million, it's $3,000. And once you understand why, you'll never think about money the same way. Here's how the trap works. You're making $500 every 2 weeks. Phone bill, gas, groceries, going out twice, back to zero. And when you live here, every decision gets filtered through one question. Can I survive until Friday? Your car makes a weird noise. Someone with $3,000 saved thinks, better get that checked. You think, I'll deal with it when it breaks. Why? Because you can't afford the repair and food this week. So you wait. When it finally dies, it costs triple. This is the poverty tax. But here's where it gets darker. Your boss offers extra shifts during spring break. Rich kid says no, needs to study for AP exams. You say yes because you need money now, even though those test scores are worth tens of thousands in scholarships. The person without money can't invest in their future because their present is screaming too loud. So when does your brain shift out of survival mode? Research shows it happens at $3,000 in savings, not because $3,000 is a lot of money, but because it's enough to stop the panic. With $3,000, that car noise doesn't trigger terror. You just get it checked. No poverty tax. Here's what's wild. Once you cross this threshold, you start seeing opportunities that were invisible before. Study abroad program needs a $500 deposit. You can actually consider it instead of immediately thinking, not for people like me. This is where wealthy people's advantage compounds. When their brain isn't stuck in survival mode, they can think long-term. They can turn down $200 sneakers because they're calculating that money becomes $600 in 5 years if invested. You can't do that math when your brain is screaming, what if your car dies tomorrow? Here's the part that'll make you angry. Being poor is expensive. Can't afford the $180 annual subscription? Pay $20 monthly. $240 total. Can't buy in bulk? Pay 40% more per unit. Can't fix your car right? Pay for the same repair 3 times. Americans lose an average of $1,015 per year just from these poverty taxes, overdraft fees, late payments, high-interest loans. But it's not about financial literacy. When your brain is maxed out managing scarcity, you literally can't think strategically. You're just trying to make it to Friday. DoorDash charges $28 for a $15 Chipotle bowl. Someone with savings thinks that's ridiculous. You think, I'm tired, I deserve this. Not because you're lazy, because your brain has learned that tomorrow will probably suck anyway, so you might as well enjoy today. Rich kid's laptop breaks junior year. Parents buy a new one that day. No missed homework, no stress. They keep moving forward. Your laptop breaks? Library computers, late assignments, maybe dropping that online AP class. Same event, completely different trajectory. 5 years later, rich kid graduated early using AP credits, saved $15,000 in tuition, started investing. You're graduating with loans, starting from behind, not because they worked harder, because their brain never entered survival mode when the decision points happened. According to 2025 data, the top 10% of earners drive nearly half of all consumer spending. Meanwhile, lower-income households cut spending by 12% even as their needs stayed the same. It's not a spending problem, it's a brain mode problem. Here's how you actually break this. First, build to $3,000, but start with $500. Even $500 creates the first buffer between you and disaster. Save $100 every 2 weeks, just 10%, and you'll have $2,600 in a year, close enough to flip the switch. Second, track 1 week of spending. Most people your age don't realize they're spending $200 monthly on delivery fees and $60 on barely used subscriptions. You can't fix what you can't see. Third, before any purchase, ask, am I buying this because I want it or because I'm afraid I won't get another chance? That FOMO impulse is scarcity talking. Rich people feel it too, but they recognize it as a red flag. Fourth, think in hours, not dollars. Make $15 an hour, take home $12 after taxes. That $60 DoorDash order just cost you 5 hours of work, 5 hours of your actual life. Only 38% of Gen Z can answer basic financial literacy questions correctly. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of 62% of people your age. You're learning this at 17 or 18. Most people don't figure it out until 30 and buried in debt. The difference between staying broke and building wealth isn't how smart you are. It's whether your brain is operating in survival mode or growth mode. That mode is determined by one thing: having enough of a buffer that your brain stops panicking about Friday and starts planning for next year. Start building that buffer. Start recognizing scarcity based decisions. Because the moment your brain shifts out of survival mode, everything changes. You start seeing opportunities instead of threats. You start making decisions based on where you want to go instead of just surviving where you are. And that shift is worth more than any paycheck you'll ever earn.